What is up, Hawk fans? Hope you guys are doing well. I did a video earlier today, and I actually did a video yesterday. That's kind of how this stuff goes. That is what I have learned making content for a few years now. When there are certain stories or certain situations that are lining up, they, especially coaching changes, they really unravel fast, and there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. Sometimes I think to myself, I would just be better off not doing the play-by-play, every little bit of information being discussed, making a video on it. But I think I have reserved it only for major news, even with the football stuff as well. Like, I only made a handful of videos on Tim Lester and the offensive coordinator change. So, but anyways, it's late at night. I had a long day, drove to a major coastal city today, and just got back. So like I said, I did a video yesterday. I did a video this morning, and yesterday when I made the video, Chad Leistico had emphatically said that Iowa was in play for Darian DeVries, aka Darian DeVries. I wonder how many. You know what? Let me go from 0 to 100 here. Those of you guys who critiqued me for saying Darian DeVries' last name wrong, and even Beth Gates, aka Beth Getz, wrong. I wonder how you guys are feeling now about that. Do you guys, are you guys feeling that adamant about it now? That he, especially Darian, shunned Iowa? Anyways, I digress. Just poking fun. But for real though, I understand. I do understand some of you guys, and some of you guys are going to have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to make this quick. But there are some comments that I get, and they're even from like longtime listeners, where I'm like, dang, dude, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I understand how in a certain context, because I had one guy tell me, he's like, I would have subscribed to your channel, but then I saw you mispronounce the name, and it just showed like you don't know. He either said what you're talking about, or Iowa basketball or football, and it's like, dude, knowing somebody's name has nothing to do with knowing the game of basketball, knowing football, knowing the program of Iowa intimately, as I do. None of it has anything to do with that. And furthermore, my channel is totally different from all these other channels, in that I have been an Iowa fan my whole life, and my channel is primarily opinion based from the information that these news jockeys relay, these sports news people relay. So you're getting a filtered and uncut perspective and analysis and opinions from a huge Iowa Hawkeye fan. Okay, so I say that to say, like, these other channels, they might be more like newsworthy, and if that's what you want, fine. If you just want the information and with very little analysis, fine. But that's not my vantage point. I've always been a guy that's gonna, yes, I will read certain articles as inspiration or a jumping off point, or to like provide a backstop to react to. But so anyways, I don't think it's a big deal, and I've been pretty frustrated with the comments of late. I'll say that. I'll be honest about it. Part of me is like, maybe I shouldn't respond to them, but at the same time, I don't want to be a channel that doesn't respond to comments. Like, I also think that that's lame. So, I think I am going to, for the time being, continue to respond and just be who I am, be authentic and real, and see where the chips fall. So, Chad Lystico, by the way, guys, hit the subscribe button, like, comment. You guys know the drill. Let's get this channel to 2,000 subscribers. Let's get it there. We're inching closer. And that's the other thing, guys. This is something that I would do if I had 0 subscribers, if I had 1, because at one time I did have 0. So, this whole subscriber thing, yes, it's nice to gain, and I appreciate, I've done many videos saying to you guys how grateful I am that you guys watch my channel, but at the same time, I'm not going to be somebody that is beholden and treats subscribers like a piece of gold, because the thing is, I've done this for a few years, it comes and goes. Some people's liking of your channel is very fickle, and you were probably going to lose them anyways. What did Donald Draper say? The day you sign a client is the day you start losing them. Peter Campbell say to that? He goes, you don't really believe that, do you? So anyways, Chad Lystico, said that Iowa was firmly in the mix. Iowa appeared to be the front runner. They were in a unique position to go after Darian DeVries, given they were not going to play in a postseason tournament, and for the NCAA or anything. I believe they also declined playing in the NIT and the Las Vegas tournament. And Chad Lystico was responding that in reference to Pete Thamel, who said that essentially the Iowa and Darian DeVries connection was not, aka Darian DeVries connection was not legitimate. I'd have to pull it up and see. I don't know if it was from Darian's perspective or just overall it wasn't the connection that people thought. I don't know if his tweet was saying that it was more Darian was not interested in Iowa, or Iowa was not as interested in Darian as a top candidate. And fast forward to today, this morning, and there's a little bit more information that comes out, not a lot. But then as the day went on, like midday coastal time, there was more and more news from places saying that Darian DeVries was out as a candidate for Iowa's next men's basketball coach, and that Indiana, and actually I had heard about Indiana yesterday as well being an option to land Darian, and I see it as an article on Hawkeye Beacon, which is usually fairly legitimate and accurate, and I was like, yeah, it's probably accurate that this is not true, and so I do a video, and the video that I did this morning was basically saying that Iowa fans need to get ready real fast to the idea that Iowa may not land their top couple of candidates. Specifically, Iowa may not land some of the top 2 candidates that fans want, okay? And I was right. I have never, Indiana, it was just announced this evening that Indiana will they will have Darian DeVries as their next head coach, aka Darian DeVries. They are expected to hire, and that's that. So he is gone as a candidate for Iowa. Personally, I never said that he wasn't an option for Iowa, but I also never told you guys that I thought that Iowa was going to land him. And if I did, I would have told you guys that. I said this morning, I kind of thought that it was a long shot that Iowa was going to land him, for the simple fact that I have never really like heard very much about this connection that he supposedly has to the University of Iowa, that all like surfaced. You guys all know it came to the surface from a lot of outlets. Now, here's the thing. If you really think about it, yes, he has a connection to the state of Iowa. That's different than having a connection to the University of Iowa. Yes, his brother did play at Iowa, but he did not. Okay. What would make Iowa any more of a dream job than Iowa State for him? Honestly, I mean, you know, I just have never really heard of him having this great adoration and love for the University of Iowa. You know, it kind of was like coming out of nowhere, and it kind of seemed like people were trying to will it into existence. Iowa fans were trying to will it into existence. And so, you know, I was open to Iowa possibly being able to get it done, but I also was not like, oh yeah, they're going to get it done. I feel confident about this, because I just hadn't really heard much. And then on top of that, I have been saying that at the end of the day, regardless of who Iowa's head coach is, whether Fran McCaffery is gone or he's still there, Iowa basketball is near the bottom, the half to the bottom, more close to the bottom when it comes to resources and NIL money. They just are. And it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have gotten rid of Fran. I will agree with some people on that. But this is why I always say that we need to be balanced, and we need to be patient in our evaluation, and when we're willing to put certain thoughts out there. You know, if I believed that it was that much of a slam dunk and this was categorically the right decision, and I would have said that. You know, but I knew deep down that there were other factors at play. Again, does Iowa missing out on Darian, does Iowa not having a ton of NIL resources mean that it was the wrong decision to let go of Fran? Of course not. Okay, you can't look at things in a vacuum, and that's what I'm saying is overall you have to look at things in a balanced manner. But I've also said that as far as the NIL money goes, part of it was Fran McCaffery. You know, it is partly the job of the head coach to get the donors and the fan base excited about the program and willing to write big checks and provide big opportunities to some of these players. So, and Fran towards the end was not doing that. Finally found it. His tweet said, or X, whatever post you want to call it, his post, sources, West Virginia coach Darian DeVries is not a candidate for the Iowa job, which of course is false. Everybody knows that Beth Getz, or Goats, everybody knows that she reached out to Darian. Everybody knows she absolutely reached out to him, which I'm going to get to. But there's also, I saw that it looks like it's a Huskers fan. Sean Bach, IU now a legit threat for DeVries, a.k.a. DeVries. Thamel, DeVries not a candidate for Iowa. Bach, focus now on McCallum. Nakos, Iowa's poor. Bach, Iowa is poor. Iowa player, I don't know who he's referring to. Iowa is more poor than what Pete said. IU hires DeVries. Rumors, West Virginia in mix for McCallum. So here's my summary, guys. Okay, you guys, as I said in my previous video, need to be ready for the possibility that this will be a more extended and extensive search than previously thought. If Getz does not land McCallum or DeVries, and this is the other thing, I don't think that it's an automatic failure, okay? Because at the end of the day, the athletic director needs to make a hire that they believe is the correct hire for what they're looking for and where they're trying to bring the program, okay? Now, all the sources indicate that she did reach out to DeVries and that he was a legitimate contender. Okay, so but still, they don't need to hire based on what the fans necessarily. I mean, I think it should be a factor somewhat, but at the end of the day, whoever the AD is needs to find who they feel comfortable with. Let the chips fall where they may. And Iowa fans need to be ready for the idea that Iowa may not land these top two candidates, or possibly top two candidates, or that they may not have even been the top two candidates in Get's eyes. Although I think that that's likely false based on the information that we have. And just because Iowa doesn't land those two guys doesn't mean that they can't find another quality coach. Okay. Apparently, as far as Darian DeVries goes, the information is that he said, how are you going to improve? But it's like, before I say this, it's like, of course this is what the information. Of course, this is the reason why they say DeVries didn't choose Iowa. I don't know how true this is, but for what it's worth, the common thought is the sources say that DeVries asked Getz, aka Gates, how she will improve, how NIL is going to improve, and he wanted Carver Hawkeye Arena to be improved, and there was not a sufficient enough plan in place to get it done. Which, if that's the case, I'm not surprised. It is inexcusable for Iowa. If they are trying to compete at a certain level, it is absolutely inexcusable for them not to have a plan in place in order to get this done. And that's why I've said from the beginning, from a more meta balanced perspective, Fran McCaffrey wasn't the only problem with Iowa men's basketball. There were other problems with the program that need to be fixed. That should have been fixed 2-3 years ago. These things should have been tried to be fixed. Multiple years ago when Iowa had Luka Garza, when they were at the peak of the Fran McCaffrey era, and fans were going to games. Now it's too late now. You're on the back burner. So apparently, she didn't have a good enough plan in place, and he pieced out. He said, nope. And I understand. Indiana has more resources for basketball. Like I said, I don't know what connection he truly, honestly has with the University of Iowa, all things being equal. And, that's that. So we'll see, guys. We'll see who Iowa lands. I mean, apparently West Virginia is going after McCollum, and that's kind of the thing that sucks. Like, if you guys don't think McCollum is a hot commodity, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, Iowa is not the only candidate, and a lot of people are banking on the homegrown connections as like this major ability to pull some of these people that they're hoping to pull. And I think that that's wishful thinking, because in this day and age, why in God's name would a coach, even if they grew up a Hawkeye fan, why would they, especially if they're established and they have their pick of the lot for Power 4 programs, why would they go to a program that they don't feel comfortable that they have the resources to win on a consistent level and elevate further than what we've seen Fran McCaffrey do? Honestly. So I think you guys need to be prepared and open to the fact that Iowa might need to land somebody that, a fourth or fifth candidate that most people were not considering. That under normal circumstances, all things being equal, Iowa probably would not hire as their head coach, but are forced to because they don't have the resources or the plan in place to inspire confidence in a big name. So, that's where we're at, guys. Not really much more to be said about this. I've been very frank and honest about this situation. I think they can still get a good coach. There's many good coaches out there. Honestly, guys, I've said this from the get-go. I would be open to Matt Gainton's being Iowa's head coach. I'm not saying that I do think he should be, but I would be open to the idea. He's young. He's an up-and-comer. He played at the University of Iowa. He's from Iowa City. He knows the game well. He played at a high level, but unfortunately, he doesn't have head coaching experience. That's at the college level, as far as I'm aware. That's the big drawback for him. So, yes, there are some other more notable names that are out there than him, obviously. But Iowa might need to be considering names like that. They might need to. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. There's not really much more to be said about this. Just be patient, guys. There's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of good coaches out there, and what Iowa needs is a guy that's going to be able to come in and have the passion to elevate the program more than maybe even what the university wants themselves, and demand more out of them, resources-wise, energy, money, a whole 9 yards, and do more with less en route to getting some of those things. That is tenacious and gets after it and doesn't mind getting down and dirty and outworking some other coaches when it comes to some of these prospects and finding gems, hidden gems and being creative and things like that. I think Iowa is kind of in a rock and a hard place right now, where Getz is on one hand showing that she wants this program to be elevated by going after some big names in the college basketball space. But on the other side, we are in the era of NIL, and name, image, likeness. It is no longer the same time frame as when Fran McCaffrey was hired. And I thought Getz had a good understanding of this, but maybe not as much as I thought. So, we're Iowa. The expectations and where Getz is at is here, where Iowa realistically is here. And that's why I said well before this, when I was letting you guys know whether I thought Fran McCaffrey should be fired, that I was open to giving him one more year to give Iowa some more time to get some of these things worked out and planned for. But we're here, and that's all there is to it. And I guess what I'm saying is, you can make the case that Getz is putting the cart before the horse. You have to build a strong foundation, and talent will come. So, but we'll see, guys. We will definitely see. Overall, I want to say that I am absolutely okay, for the most part, with wanting more and believing that the University of Iowa can have more, because I believe that myself. But these situations make people have a good hard look at where you actually are and whether you're truly being honest about the situation that you or your program or your organization finds themselves in. Okay? And I do think that it would have benefited Iowa a lot had they gotten rid of Fran McCaffrey sooner, so they could have started engaging in some of these conversations sooner with some of these coaches. But I do understand holding on to Fran McCaffrey a little bit, to the end of the season, because the guy had, been Iowa's head coach for 15 years and is Iowa's winningest coach. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much it. No more meat left on this bone. We're at 25 minutes. I'll keep you guys posted if there's any more news that comes out. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In facts or feelings, because your feelings just matter. Love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Go Hawks.